but no, we're very much lied to about it. There's a lot of fear, a lot of fear mongering, and you have a lot of divisiveness really in the working class too, especially across color lines and cultural lines, things like that. That they choose to impose on us. They very much do. I mean, really, we the people don't control the media. We the people don't control our textbooks. We the people don't control any of that. It's big money interests, and they're afraid of $15 minimum wage. But there is again a lot of the same bullshit arguments, and there is a kind of stubbornness among people in the working class who have achieved. These people who work harder and make above minimum wage, make now $10 or $15 an hour, that they really are taught to, and it is kind of a knee-jerk reaction, to resent people who don't work as hard as them, that are demanding as much as they're, or more than they're getting paid now. And, I hear this all the time here in Virginia, here in my part of Virginia, that, well, I'm a manager and I don't make $10 an hour, or, I'm a factory worker, I only make, $11.50, what have you, why should people flipping burgers make 15? And the only thing I can say to them is, well, you're being screwed over getting paid less than 10. You're getting screwed over getting paid $11.50. You should be getting paid 18, 19, 20 and up,
So
but
they don't realize that if the minimum wage is raised, that everyone else's wages get raised, just like when unions are strong, people who aren't in unions also have higher wages. Like, they haven't been able to make that connection.
Yeah, and I think some of the information just isn't. It's becoming more readily available than it ever has been because of internet, because a lot more free media out there. But there's been misinformation for a long time, and really there's these false flags about fake news, fake news, fake news. And I think, and this is sounding like conspiracy theorist here, I think that's just trying to get us to be suspicious of non-corporate media personally,
Yes, I agree. I agree. That's exactly what that is. They want to be able to control the narrative. They want to be able to control the story that people accept. But that's very perceptive. Nick, when are you going to run for office? You should run for political office, because I'm not kidding. No bullshit. You have an uncanny bullshit detector.
Well, I think the biggest thing is I'm 21. I don't have a college degree. I'm trying to get one. I think that's really the first step, but as far as going for office, I'm not so sure if I really feel like being part, some effort to, to be one vote for changing the system while everyone else is, voting to reform or keep things as they are instead of completely restructure. No, I'd rather have a job, say, as a community organizer or a union rep, or something where I'm out there educating people, agitating people, and organizing people. I think that's a lot more effective than being a politician.
I agree with you. I think that's exactly what we need these days, is we need direct action. I like what you said in that video. You said, or I don't know if you said it, maybe someone else did, that we have to make it harder for them to resist us than it is for them to go along with us. And
yep, that's me.
Yeah, that's you. So that's exactly what we need to do. And do you feel like people are waking up? I'm talking about working class people. Now, I'm a working class guy. I was a bricklayer for 20 years and everything. So, I know those people. I know how we think, right? I come from a blue collar neighborhood. And my parents didn't go to college and stuff like that. And so I know most of them, and my siblings, most of them didn't go to college either. So there's this thing, are working people, what I'm trying to get is, are they still suspicious of unions, or do they understand it now, and do they embrace it, and do they understand what's going to have to happen for them to get the $15? I'm meaning direct action. Do people get that, unions, and what they need to do?
Well, I think the vast majority of people really don't, but I think more people now than since turn of the century, because back then you had major exploitation, a lot of alienation of labor, a lot of, because they didn't have the regulations back then, they didn't have the unions and such. You saw, entire towns, like the town I grew up in, Trammell, Virginia, was built by a coal company, and what we saw then was people were being very blatantly exploited, so they rose up. Well, we're starting to see people raise up now, but, we have more obstacles now than we had then. I think another thing about that is people are living more comfortable than they were 100 years ago. It's kind of hard for some people to see they're being as oppressed as they are. It's bread and circus. They, if they're fed and entertained, and, it's kind of hard to see that, they're being as exploited as they really are. But
what do people think about Trump? Do they think that in general, people that I'm talking about working class people that in Virginia who are out there for the fight for 15, what do they think about Trump, and do they think he'll bring better jobs or a better pay rate to them?
Oh, people in Fight for 15?
Yeah.
People in Fight for 15 know exactly what's going on. They know that he's not going to pass it on a federal level. They know that there's a Republican-held House and Senate, and they know that's not going to, they're not going to push it. Really, the only thing we can really see is trying to flip over the House in 2 years and try and get it on a state level is the only thing, or on a citywide level, local level, what have you. But I'm not going to speak for 515 overall, but everyone I know in 515 is real conscious of these issues. They have an idea of what's going on. But no, I can't think of a single one that voted for Trump. As far as outside of 515, there are people that really do think that, it's the regulations, it's the unions, things like that are actually keeping us in the shitty state we are. They see Trump as actually the savior because, they are sick of this business as normal status quo politics, and they see him as the exception to the rule. Because guess what? He don't talk like politicians. He talks, and I think that's where a lot of people listen to me. I'm not saying anything new. I'm just saying it with a slight bit of twang, and I say it very bluntly. I try and stay away from, big words fluff up my language because I know that what I say has power. They see that with Trump. So they see, oh, this guy's not establishment. This guy says he's going to bring back our jobs. Well, I don't have any reason to believe that he's not going to. So that speaks to a lot of people. Don't speak to 515 people, but it speaks to a lot of Virginians. It speaks to a lot of coal miners, a lot of, factory workers out in Martinsville, Danville, Virginia, Southside Virginia. That's they had a manufacturing, and it started going away in the 80s. But really, like you said, NAFTA kind of, put the nail in the coffin of all the manufacturing in Southside Virginia. They know that. They know, a Democrat pushed that. They kind of have an idea. And Trump's outright, said, oh, well, I think NAFTA was a bad decision. Now, of course, if NAFTA would have been looked on favorably, he'd be saying he's all for NAFTA. Donald Trump's probably one of the more clever bullshit artists in town. But no, they see hope in this crazy, crazy guy because of exactly what I've described. They don't see him as business as usual.
So do you think, how long do you, so now you and I know that Donald Trump most likely will institute policies that don't help people in the fight for 15 and probably hurt them. So that's probably what's going to happen. And do you think that the people who aren't in the fight for 15 but are also working class people, the people do you think that they'll wake up to the fact that he's not on their side, or do you think that they won't?
Well, I think a lot of them won't. I think some of them will. I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell which way it's going to swing, but I've usually seen, if you look at the history of American politics, anytime we swing too far right, we tend to swing, kind of far left. Like, okay, let's just take Reagan, for example. Like you said, all his union busting, all his deregulation, things like that. What we saw right after him is Bill Clinton, who's, I would say, pretty damn right-wing. He comes up and says, oh, yeah, no, Reagan policies didn't work. You can see the suffering. Let me point to Exhibit A, trickle down don't work. Let's try something new. So if he does bad enough, you will see that. Look at George Bush. George Bush messed up big time, and the result of that was we had a Democrat for 8 years.
Right.
Obama was business as usual. Guantanamo Bay is still open. People are getting droned all to shit. He's sending troops every which way. He's always backed big business. And guess what? We have a Republican. So, no, if things get bad enough, you will see change, but I don't know if it's going to be as far left as we want it to be,
Yeah. Well, Nic, I really appreciate you taking time, and I really look forward to talking with you more and hearing your stories about your organizing and your community activity and whatever you're doing with unions. And if you ever want to come out on the show to get your word out about something, just let us know, and we'd be glad to have you.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy Dore. I really do appreciate you giving me this opportunity, giving me this platform.
Nic, you're a solid dude.
All right.
You're a solid dude. Happy birthday, and I'm sure we'll talk again. Bye-bye, buddy.